There's a new study out on happiness levels of Americans that has some pretty dire numbers here. This is from the COVID response tracking study conducted by NORC at the University of Chicago. And they found that just 14% of American adults say that they are very happy. That is down from 31% who said that in 2018. So a big drop. And it is the lowest level, so the least happy that we have been in 50 years, Saagar.
50 years since 1972, whenever this all began. And I mean, one of the stats in this is not all that surprising. It says that 23% say they'd often felt isolated in recent weeks in 2018.
Yeah.
Now that's over 50%. And no less than 29% of Americans have ever called themselves very happy in that survey. And you can see that drop there in particular. We have another one of a chart which actually just shows the very happiness number, which just shows a literal plummet right in the year 2020.
Look at
you
that.
can see there. I mean, it just goes and
so the one that falls
falls
off the cliff there, that's the number of Americans saying they're very happy. The one that spikes at the same time are the ones who say they're not too happy.
Right.
And actually, there's a little uptick in those saying that they're pretty happy. But
kind of interesting.
yeah, but it just, I mean, you can just see it just literally falls off a cliff. Essentially this year.
Yeah.
Not a huge surprise. I mean, not only are we dealing with crises on multiple fronts, but we are isolated in a lot of cases where we don't have the support systems around us, the normal social interactions. Look, humans are, we're social creatures. Yeah, so to be cut off during a really challenging time from your support system and structure is really, really difficult.
Well, the part of this poll that even depressed me the most was about the public being less optimistic today about the standard of living improving for the next generation than it has been in 25 years. Only 42% of Americans believe that when their children reach their age that their standard of living will be better. 57% of people said that in the year 2018. And since that question was asked in 94, the previous low was actually 45% in 94. So this is the lowest number since this poll has been asked in over 25 years. It just demonstrates where, look, I mean, if you're in a country, that's nihilism, right? When the majority of the population believes that their kids will not be better off than they were, then that leads you to some deeply nihilistic behavior. Yeah. And it also leads you to revolutionary political change.
Right.
I mean, much of what
are
we
we
see,
seeing in the streets right now?
Of course. And, I mean, this has been, I think the conditions for something like this, what we've talked about now for years, is that the conditions for this have been set for a long time. That about a third of the population was already there. All you had to do was push the middle class into that same boat, and you have a recipe for total and complete political disaster. And I think that is very much what's being set by the lack of correct economic response, by the lack of social institutions that we have, just so much of who has power right now and who doesn't, and how we're going to come out of this. It's depressing.
I'd love to see the breakdown by age as well. I expect based on the numbers we've covered on this show about millennials, how they've been so screwed, not just during this crisis, but in the Great Recession, in the dot-com burst for the older millennials, disproportionately the people are, shipped off to fight and die in wars overseas. Zoomers now just getting their feet under them, and they're getting crushed at the same time. Mass job losses for those generations. But you're absolutely right. In some ways, the saddest and most troubling number is this one about the percent that actually think things will be better for their kids. Because you can put up with a lot if you have hope for the future. If you think, look, things are tough now, but they're going to get better. And it's worth getting through this, worth struggling through this present moment because what I'm going to leave to my kids is going to be better. They're going to have better than what I have. When you lose that hope, and that optimism for the future, I mean, that is a crushing and, yes, radicalizing
That's when things get dark.
Thing. And they're not crazy to think that either. I mean,
no, they're right.
Right.
Yeah.
If you, I mean, again, look at the way that the younger generations are being screwed right now in real time. What would give you any indication that things would be better for the next generation or the generation after that? There's not a lot to go on. So it's a sobering look at where Americans are. They're also more likely to report feelings of isolation and loneliness. Of course, no surprise there. It's a sobering look, but it's also a completely understandable and I think, very realistic picture of how Americans feel and the way that leadership has failed them during this time to provide them with any sort of structures or support or belief that things would ultimately be better in the future.
Yeah, the vacuum of leadership has never seemed so depressing.
Yeah.
In the moment that we're
No, I mean, whatever you think of the Trump administration, I don't care, but to watch in real time, like, the government fail at every level, it's a deeply depressing thing.
Especially on coronavirus. I was thinking about
it.
In terms of flying, it's like nobody's getting temperature checks. You go out to eat, people are not. I mean, it's like the lack of state capacity. I remember reading in like Ethiopia, they were able to go door to door and test everybody in the city of Addis Ababa. I'm like, we can't do that in New York City.
Right. And people, I mean, and basically what we see right now is people are just like giving up. Like,
they're like, screw it, I'm going out.
I guess I just have to take the risk because no one is going to make sure that we're safe. No one's going to make sure we're economically whole. So here we go. We'll just like hope for the best.
Yeah.
That's where we are.
On that very happy note, tomorrow on Rising, we're going to have Huffington Post's Zach Carter to talk about his latest reporting and his new book.
He always does a great job. And friend of the show, Nina Turner, she's going to join us as well. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to support the show. Also, send in your questions for us using the hashtag RisingQs. Everybody have a great day. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.